Okay, we are live and broadcasting. Okay, so it's Thursday, or Friday, I mean, and it's my checkup day to make certain everybody's doing all right. So I'm going to go ahead and post that I'm live in case anybody comes online to hang out and do whatever. And let's see, we're live. Putting it in everything so we can know what we're doing, because that's how I do things. Okay, so basically I'm just trying to get on every Friday to answer questions, to go over things as people need them, all that basic stuff, and try to suss out what all needs to be done for the day. Class comments. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to be doing this. I have a few things going. Hopefully it notifies me when I get a message, because I've got the gradebook open on my one monitor, and then I have Classroom open on my other so that I can check these answers. But hopefully everything's going good. I have had some questions regarding how does this work with grades, and from what I understand is you essentially have like, did you participate, yes or no? And that's pretty much it. There's no real thing about like an A, a B, a C, or a D, or anything quite like that. It's just, did you do it, yes or no? And if the answer is no, you have basically a certain period of time to do it, and then if you don't, then you have to essentially make it up next year. No one's going to get a failing grade for this. The best thing they're going to have is incomplete, or the worst thing, I mean to say, this they're going to have is incomplete. So that's not a colossal big deal when it comes to grades. And then your actual letter grade that's going to be reported is whatever you have now in your class, or in the grade book. So you can actually go online and find that like you normally would. And no one's failing, so that's a plus. And then the averages are really good, and partially it's because of how we did things. Excuse me. I've been doing a lot of sanding upstairs. We're repainting basically the entire upper part of the house, something we've been meaning to do for a while now. And we had quite a few patches that need to do. Drywall, if you've ever worked with it, is a colossal mess and a colossal pain. And then on top of that, there's a lot of sanding involved. My knuckles are actually kind of raw from how I grip the sandpaper. Not to mention my arms are just kind of, that's okay. In other news, I got 2 new models delivered. One I purchased, which was the P51 Mustang. And wait, is it P51? I think it's P51. Yeah, it's P51. I was about to say, I got that wrong. I'm going to have to, like, I don't know, dunk my head in a cool thing of water or something. Anyways, I ordered that one. And then a friend of mine, who's like kind of a fellow modeler and hobbyist, was like, hey, you should have this one. And it was a World War I fighter, a SPAD 13. Because I actually have a whole collection of these little model airplanes that I use in a war game that I would play called Wings of Glory. And he always played it with me. And so he was like, hey, you should do one of these. And I was like, that's a great idea. I should do that. And so here we are, having that. All right, Heaven, you commented. Jacob. There you are. And the other Jacob. Deshaun. Got you. Jason. Got you. Anyways, hope you guys are keeping busy and finding ways of entertaining yourselves. I've said that before. It's, I think, incredibly important in these times because it's really easy to fall into depression whenever you don't have much to do. It's very, very common. So, just taking the time to do something you enjoy, even if it's like quote unquote wasting time, I don't really think that's a thing so much. Not in the sense that, you're spending time you enjoy. Anytime you spend in the pursuit of something you enjoy isn't time wasted. Um, and then, of course, also like, this, people say it's a great time to do something you've never done before, get a new hobby or, exercise if you haven't, or whatever the case may be. And I kind of just turn back to the wise words of Jake the dog, because it's real easy to fall into that habit of, well, I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to do it. And you have to suck at something to be good at something, You have to be willing to put in that effort, especially when it comes to musical instruments. I find that a lot of people get frustrated pretty easily, and that's normal. But just have that, man, I suck, and I don't want everyone to know I suck, so I'm going to stop. It's like, you got to be brave to do that. You got to be willing to be like really bad at something for a while. And that's not always easy to do, especially in the world that we live in. It's very critical and kind of brings you down. Okay. What we got here? 3 more people turned this stuff in. I hope you enjoyed that video. One of my guilty pleasures is cooking shows. Although I don't find the ones that are like produced professionally to be as interesting. I don't know why. I guess it's because like there's always so much like overacting, I guess, is the way. It's like, I don't know, I remember watching like Rachel Ray and things like that back in the day on Food Network. It was like they just like act like it's the craziest, most awesome thing in the world. Food's amazing all the time, and I get that, but it's like there's a layer of exuberance that eventually just like, dude, you're just being fake. I don't know. I don't enjoy that as much. Instead, I like watching like YouTube videos where somebody's like, I am not a professional chef, but I'm gonna throw some stuff out here and try to like make something tasty. It's like I can buy that because I am not a professional chef, and it's kind of interesting to see what people can come up with. I was watching one today on a dude making ice cream sandwiches, which yes please. Ice cream sandwiches are the bomb. I hear my children trying to kill each other upstairs, but Miss Mud is on that, so that's always good times. Okay, so that's all the grades done. Still have quite a few people who need to do it. Oh, I remember. I actually need to hop on my email because I'm getting them through emails as well, which is fine, but it just means it's in a separate area. I will say it is much easier for me to leave comments in Google Classroom if you can. So here's a private message on the video itself. Loading. There's Mackenzie. Gotcha. And then Michael DeShields. It's actually funny to me is like those of you guys who got moved from classes, it's kind of like, wait, which class are you in now? And I gotta go find you. But no, most of the time it's all right. Yeah, it's really important for you seniors out there to get all this stuff turned in because I don't really know what'll happen if you have an incomplete going into all that kind of stuff. There's that. Cool. I gotta open this real quick. It's a late assignment. And it gets flagged as late. Yeah, I know. Cookies on Sunday. That is pretty interesting. It's hard to say. Like, the thing I thought was kind of interesting about the cookies in question is like how they don't really seem like cookies that we think about today. Like they really heavily reminded me of like fortune cookies. Although I'm sure they don't taste the same. I think it was mostly the shape. But it's just that whole thing of like, what is this exactly that I'm looking at here? That's kind of interesting to me. And trying to see like how do we differ in how we cook things today. That's fine. I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to. Autumn, that totally works. Credit there. Got Jason's. Ariana, I got her. 5 seconds. Camden. Okay. Yeah, but anyways, about trying to cook that recipe because it didn't seem very difficult. Lots of, the basics, sort of like pound cake, I guess, just, butter and sugar and flour and that sort of thing. Um, so, it should be pretty easy to throw together. Um, but yeah, the one thing I will say about the old school coffee, I've had that. Um, my wife's grandparents used to make coffee that way. They bought it pre-ground, so they didn't grind it in one of those grinders. Though I've had that too, just in another situation. And then um, with the way the percolator works, and how the water kind of, so it's actually kind of like you can buy modern drip style coffee makers that are made of clay, and you set it on top of your mug and you just pour the water over it. And it turns out pretty good. Like I've said, I've had it before, and it's quite enjoyable. However, it is a little bit more labor intensive, especially in something like a K cup, which you've seen me use any number of different things. Lance, where are you? I'm struggling to find. Oh, because I'm looking. I was looking for your last name. Oops, that's my bad. Stevie, did I? I feel like I got you. Could be wrong. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny too. He's saying that um, the mother didn't want them drinking coffee, um, so it was mostly milk with a drop of coffee. And I think that's funny because my kids like coffee, but only whenever their granddad does it. Um, so and basically he puts in like a ton of creamer or milk and like almost no coffee. And they don't like my coffee because I don't drink it with milk at all. So I will say that coffee is an acquired taste, meaning that most people start off not really liking it, but they drink it because it's free and it's there. And then they sort of develop a taste for it. Um, and I will say, I think the biggest problem with a lot of coffee when the people first start drinking it is they don't know how much of everything to put in. And essentially, what purpose each ingredient serves. So, like sugar, like you would imagine, sweetens it. So, if you find that it's too bitter, you put in more sugar. Milk makes it less acidic. Coffee is actually pretty acidic stuff. Funny enough, if you look inside like my metal coffee mug, it's got pock marks in it because it's literally eaten away at the metal. Um, Anyways, it's not highly acidic. Like I don't believe it's like the Coca-Cola or anything like that. But it is something that eats away at stuff slowly and steadily, and it affects the taste. So if you're not into the acidic taste, you can put in milk and it will balance it out, or creamer, or whatever the case may be, or just the pH of it. YouTube, yes, I'm aware I'm live. Thank you, YouTube, for notifying me of the fact that I'm alive. Good to know. All right. Anybody else? Jalala Pearson. I thought I got you already. I'll double check. Anyway, so part of the problem with the way these emails work is it sends me like 15,000 emails notifying me of what's what and what's up. And that's okay. It's just a little bit like, yes, I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for notifying me. So let's see what else. Another news. One of the things I'm going to try to do is try to find ways of hosting board games online. A lot of friends of ours, we used to play a lot of board games, and we can't do that because obvious reasons. And it's not as easy to find good versions of everything. So, looking into that. Ticket to Ride's really good if you've never played that. Oh gosh, hiccups. Okay. Well, that's that grading done. That's not going to go away. And that's great. All right, so I've got the streaming going. So yeah, I'm just gonna hang out here for probably another 15 minutes in case anybody hops on and needs help, and then I'll hop off. Um, so what shall we do with ourselves? I'll do a little bit of Googling here, because I want to see if I can find Ticket to Ride. Play Ticket to Ride on my friends. Let's see. Board Game Stack Exchange. Days of Wonder. Or solo or online. See, the thing is, I think that requires you to have everybody owning a copy of it. That's the yeah. This version is the App Store one, which is actually perfectly reasonable and fine. It's just you know, it's a little bit bananas. Yeah, Tabletop Simulator is always pretty good for that. Excuse me. Anyways, the Jaxbox games are pretty good too on Steam. I was playing one the other day. It was like a trivia game that was pretty amusing. Because it was like there was like a serial killer who had captured you and was like using you to do this whatever. It's like you had to answer questions correctly to earn money, or else he would try to kill you. And there's this whole thing. It was pretty good, pretty amusing. 10 out of 10 would play again. All right, so I'm gonna go and play some Minion Masters. I think. Highly recommend this game. It's free to play on Steam. Very similar to Clash of Kings or Clash Royale, where that game is on the phone, in that you have essentially two bridges, and you have two opposing sides, and you play cards that summon units that try to go over and destroy the enemy base. The thing is, you only are allowed to put in 10 cards, but you can also have 3 copies of cards. So it's like, you know, maximum of 10, but you can have 3 extra ones, or not 3 extra ones, sorry. You can have 3 of the same ones. And essentially, a lot of the game is revolved around controlling territory. Cards have counters, and the thing I found is mostly it does not require you to have really expensive cards. Like, in all honesty, one of the best cards is unlocked as soon as you start the game. So it's like, it's really a lot more strategy involved. Although I will say this, some of the cards are ridiculously broken when applied in certain circumstances. So, you know, it's definitely a thing that is best played with a little bit of a grain of salt, I feel. And on we go. So basically, the deck I'm playing right now is all about mana efficiency. Most of my cards are in the 3 cost range, and I find that a lot of people don't know how to deal with that. It's just one of those things that is kind of tricky because it's just expensive enough to do what needs to be done. And I'm using a lot of these cards called Curse Bearers. They're big skeleton boys that constantly have an aura around them that curses the enemy. And Curse is a attack that slowly whittles down health. I think it's like 3% every second. So, like, you know, the temptation is, well, I'm going to play these big boys that do a lot of damage. And then you put a Curse Bearer down, and like literally, I have one right now. He just cast a really big guy, and it whittled him down to half his health in like a second. So it's kind of tough to deal with. And then I have all these little boys as well that soak up a lot of big hits, because a lot of your heavier, like, hitting guys can only hit like one or two attacks like every few seconds. So it's they're really slow. They hit hard, but they're slow. And the thing with that is it's really easy to surround dudes with these little tiny attackers and just wail on them, and they can't really do anything about it. I just did that to one of my guys. I have this flying dude who hits like a truck, and he is not very good at dealing with lots of little tiny guys with crossbows, which is what he just used on me. Unfortunately, he spent so much time doing that now my guy is just wailing on his base, and he hasn't been able to do much to stop me. I've also been controlling the bridges this entire time, and as you do that, you build up experience. Well, once you get to level 3, you unlock sort of like a big, massive power boost, and in the case of my master, I summon a giant dragon. Of course, it doesn't matter because I just beat him anyways. Alright, so I'm going to try something really ghetto with this. See what happens. See if you can... Oh, that's right, it's plugged in around there. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's got this little rubber band. My wife loves to do that with her stuff. Alright. See where I'm streaming, doing stuff at the same time. Woo! Alright, do that, do that. Alright, alright, cool. It's the most ghetto way of doing this, I know, but whatever, it's fine. Let's fix that. That kind of works. Alrighty. Unclaimed rewards, fantastic. Say, you just unlock rewards as you play. That's easy peasy. Oh! Unlocked a new skin. That's pretty cool. So, yeah. Alrighty, so I don't know if this is backwards to you, and on my posting screen it looks backwards. So that's fine. Oh, all right. So Morelia is the master I'm using, and she does. I said this big old dragon boy. Okay. Oh, Gax the World Bomb. She survives that. Interesting. I did not think she would. Ooh, that's a really good counter to my dudes. So that's this little card that has an electrical field around him, and every time you have somebody attack him with a melee attack, it shocks them and stops them from doing whatever they need to do. And that's unfortunate for me. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So that guy explodes dudes, and he's really good at clearing little like waves of dudes. Unfortunately for this guy, I don't have any of those. Soul Stealer is a flying unit that builds up more attack the more guys he attacks. Again, a very good anti-swarm card. However, I don't have any swarm. That was that was a Shadow Whelp. Shadow Whelp is good. Throw those guys behind, and this guy. Clear him out. All right, then we'll clear these guys out with some skeletons. Those guys are stun lancers. That was the unit I was talking about a minute ago. They're really good against a lot of stuff. I think she wins this trade. I could be wrong on that. She hits like a truck because she's got really fast attacks. Yeah, I thought that's how that was going to go down. Yeah, that guy wins that trade, I'm pretty sure. Although maybe not, because yeah, I'll just smite that. Okay. So this is what I was talking about a second ago about my big boys. He's going to go over there and hit him probably. Nope. Didn't get it off in time. That's okay. Use that. Use that. That's all right. We'll take that bridge. That's fine. I don't really mind him pegging away at my base a little bit, because what's most important is getting the bridge control. And those guys don't actually hit that hard. I will say he's got lots of answers for a lot of my dudes, because he's using those air units that are really effective. It's all right. So I'm going to try to do something a little sneaky here. Throw these guys down. And that would hopefully stall out his attacks for a second. Get that. All right, we've already established that this will counter that. Especially with that. Now I'll go and throw her behind there to act as a meat shield. And I'm going to go ahead and smite that, I think. He loses that trade. I don't know why he did that. That was not a smart play on his part. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this spell that will increase my spirit. Ooh, that was a good play on his part. He just used dragons, which is really good against a lot of stuff. However, it is a 7-cost card. I think this is a type of deck called a Ritual Servitude deck. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a big old pile of stuff up there and tempt him into doing something to try to counter it. I don't think that actually he wins that trade. Malshore Shadow Spark. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, now what I want to do is use my dragon. So that's my level 3 thing. I think I mentioned those guys. So this guy hits like a truck. He's really hard to deal with. Just going to smite that. Now we just start pushing his base down, because he has no real strong way of dealing with this play. There's a thing about Nivir there, Nivir, however you say her name, is she hits both ground and air. So, anyways. All right, well, I haven't seen anybody on here. I think I had one person